We are 1 week out from Drag Challenge, and to be honest, the car does not feel ready, so we need to make it ready. So on this episode of Carnage, let's make it ready. So if you watched last episode, you'll know I had some struggles. We took the ute out for its first test drive on the street over to MPW. It's doing all right, but it's getting a little bit warm. So that's one thing I need to sort out. I don't know why, but we'll need to sort out why it's getting warm. But there's other stuff. All right, so now the speedo works, that's great. I need to do more street miles with it, but I need to sort out the heat thing. There's a whole bunch of other stuff. There's sensors and stuff that need to be done. Most importantly, the gear position sensor, and you're going to be like, why? It's because that's where the neutral safety switch is going to be hooked up, and they will want that when we go through, tech inspection on next week. So we've got to sort out some stuff like that. I've obviously got to put the passenger seat in. I've got some 15-inch wheels for the front. I'll explain that later. But I figure, let's just get some stuff done. I'll start off with where I finished up last time, which is with the shock sensor mount. Again, you're probably going, why do with that when you're not dealing with this? It's because it's going to take 10 minutes to do. So let's do that, and then I can deal with the stuff that's up here. So let's get it up, get it done. Go with that one, I think. For those of you that didn't watch the last episode, we have these little shock sensor adapters from Howtech. Basically, they screw onto the end of your shock mount bolt and allow you to mount your linear position sensor. But the bolts I had were the wrong thread, so I have gone and got some bolts of the correct thread. Let me just tap that in. Okay, hardened washer, nylock nut. So now we take our adapter, we screw it on like so. We can lock that up, and then our position sensor will go from there to there, and we'll be able to measure what the shock is doing during the run. Then use that data to make us go faster. Although that's not really a thing for Drag Challenge. If it runs 850s on the first day, we'll be trying to run 850s every day. That's the plan. All right, let's lock that up. There's our connector, there's our sensor, don't need that. All right, so this end is going to go up there, and this end down here. I wonder if we have enough travel. We may have the wrong sensor length. Whoops, because we got that much shock and that much there. We've got more shock than we've got sensor. We might have to ring Howtech and get them to send me out another sensor. Bugger. All right. I'll make that call and we'll move on to something else. Right, so we've got a bit of a list happening. I'm not wiping any of this stuff off because I need to make a mud map so we can have paper that we can take with us on the drive just in case I need to track something down, out on the road. But anyway, we have a little list here. All right, shock sensor I can't do right now. Passenger seat, that's ready to go at any time. Fuel level it works, but it works in opposite at the moment. So it shows me, right now I know it's nearly full of fuel, but it's showing 15% fuel level. So it's in opposite worlds. So I need to sort that out. Stereo, I'm still thinking about. Wheels and wheel nuts we've done. Tail lights, yeah, done. Check drive we've done, but you know, we'll say that was a fail. Shields for breathers, haven't done yet. Check transfluid, we've done. Dump valve, we've done. So let's wipe some of those things off the board so we can make room for other things. Take you out, take you out, take you out, take you out. Keypad is, it's done. I'm not even going to bother with that. All right, let's have a look at our gear position sensor. So I have a sensor mount here that we made over at Adams at MPW. I've not fitted it to the car at all. So let's do a bit of a look, see if this is going to work. Hopefully it works. Just need to work out if that's going to fit up in there. Oh, that'll hurt. All right, so if we mount it to that hole and that hole. That is the question, isn't it? Okay. Because they use one of the other hole, they use that hole for their sensor, I noticed on an Adams car, so we use our shifter into that hole. Sorry if I'm talking to myself, but I need to do this to work it out. So if I mount that upside down, hopefully that's got enough clearance for the tray and we can run it that way, hopefully. I guess let's have a look at that. We have a smaller sensor mount. This one will be for our gear position, if I can get the box open. Kind of cool little boxes. Keep the sensor protected. It's so tiny. One of them. Which way will we go with that? Will we go up over that? Is it going to work? Not going to work. So we are 0 for 2 at the moment. Our mount isn't going to work. We would have to make a new mount, which isn't the end of the world. However, it's still like the easy way to make the mount, puts the shock sensor right next to the exhaust. And we can't do that, it'll cook it. Like, there's a lot of heat under here. It's different to the way Adam sets his up because his shifter uses a different hole on the linkage. The hole that we use puts the linkage and it puts it at a cross path. So we would have to try and have that go past the linkage while it's operating. It's not going to work. So we would have to make a whole new mount and mount it upside and then put a tab on the top side of the shifter arm, which are all things that we can do. But it's not a this week job. And a few people would be like, oh, just have the neutral safety switch off the shifter, which is what we're going to end up doing. But that wasn't the point. The point was that not only can we use this as our neutral safety switch, but we can do boost by gear and all those sorts of fancy things, which are things that we're going to do down the track, not really needed for drag challenge. But it would have been nice to do it all this week. So, not going to happen this week. Damn it. All right, I'll put the bolts back in that. We'll get the car down. We'll do the neutral safety switch on the actual shifter. So at least we get park and neutral on the shifter and make sure it does not start the car. Then we're going to move on to the other stuff. It's not going well. On the hoist, off the hoist. On the hoist, off the hoist. Right, that should be good enough. Okay, pull our pins. Take our cover off for the neutral safety switch. Okay, you are for that. Okay. So I was going to use this little micro switch as our neutral safety switch, but in a conversation I had with the boys at Max Performance, they've shown me a better solution, and that is this little jigger. So it is a linear position sensor, all right, so there's your arm, moves there to there, but it mounts to where your micro switch would have mounted. So we don't need that anymore. So that is the little bracket that comes with the shifter kit. We just bolted it to that. I did drill an extra hole just to hold it in place properly. But yeah, that will bolt inside the shifter. A little rod will attach to that, and we'll then be able to program it through the Haltech using, you know, the usual 5-volt source. So yeah, let's put it in and see if it works. Climbing in again. Okay, so we'll put our shifter into neutral, park. So shifter's in park, and then we can position that somewhere near the shifter, and what happens is we have this little rod, so we'll have to bend and cut it to length, but the eyelet will go around that, behind the circlip of course, and then the rod will travel and push our little position sensor along. So the best way I think to set this up will be to set it up near the back. Alright, so there's first gear. Now we don't want it to force it up against the end, so let's come forward a little bit. So basically we're going to have to bend it sort of straight out of this little sleeve here. Alright, let's make our adjustments. And we'll bend it 90. Okay, take our circlip off. So we've cut and bent it like that. So hopefully it should work now. Let's give it a try. So first, second, neutral. So we've got our sensor in. Go all the way back. We're at first, second, neutral, reverse, park, and now we'll be able to hook that into the Haltech and nominate all those little positions, give them values, and then we'll have, yeah, neutral safety switch, and we'll have ability to go boost by gear, all those other sort of things that we want to do down the track. So we've got our gear position sensor in the shifter, it's wired up, the ABI is assigned, and I've started doing the calibration for the various gears according to the sensor. So it all seems to work pretty well. I haven't worked out how to do park yet. Adam's going to come over and give us a hand with that, but I'll show you how it works so far. See, it says undefined for park at the moment, but come back, reverse, neutral, there's second, there's first. So we go first, second, neutral, reverse, and now it just says reverse at the moment because that's the last voltage it saw, but it works. So next up on the list is our flex fuel sensor. So we can run this thing on normal unleaded while we're out on the road. I don't want to carry hundreds of litres of fuel. I mean, the limit is 200 litres in the trailer plus whatever you carry inside your fuel tank. I don't see the need in carrying 200 litres of fuel if we can set up one of these. So, you know, let's set up this, and that means we only have to carry enough fuel to do our E85 at the various tracks. So maybe 100 litres. I mean, we can buy fuel at near Heathcote. We can buy fuel at Tailem Bend. Really the only one that you can't is Mildura. There is a guy up there that does supply E85, but there's nothing at the pump. So anyway, we need to install this and wire it in so yeah, it can tell what ethanol content we have in our fuel. So to install this flex fuel sensor, we're going to put it in the return line, and the return line is -8. So I need to just change the fittings in the ends of this flex fuel sensor. So neck them down from -10 to -8. It won't restrict our flow to the pumps because it's all after the fact. So yeah. All right. So we've got a little neck down fitting. So -10 here, -8 there. So ProFlow make a specific adapter for the E85 sensor. Not only does it allow the E85 to go through the sensor itself, which does prove to be a little bit of a restriction, but it has a bypass as well that will not restrict the flow. So basically the flow will go around and through the sensor, so you still get your readings, but it doesn't significantly reduce the flow through the fitting itself. So it's a good idea. So I've got to make up new fuel lines for our flex fuel sensor, but I'm out of high flow fittings, so I'm going to reuse these fittings. Obviously I have to change the ferrule, so I'll have to use a new one of those, but the rest of the fitting I can reuse. So that part you can't reuse. So you can buy packets of 5 of these ferrules from ProFlow. So if you are reusing fittings, it's a good idea to buy a packet. So push it home. So we have our flex fuel sensor mounted. It is plumbed up. All the lines and fittings are done. Now we need to wire it. Unfortunately, the plug for the flex fuel sensor is up the front for some reason. So I'm gonna have to cut, make an extension, terminate, and plug it in. Just frustrating. But anyway, we'll get it done. And then we can, you know, do our tonneau cover sensor, you know, measure the amount of air pressure on the tonneau cover, you know. The crotch temperature sensor, the driver comfort temperature sensor, you know, see how much swamp groin we've got. Things like that, all the sensors, all the things. Anyway, let's do this thing. Go in there, click, you go in there, click, and you never come off again. Alright, job done. I don't know what wiring guys get paid, but it's not enough. So, flex fuel, done. Gear position, done. Neutral safety switch, I'll leave it on the board because it isn't actually activated yet. Adam's going to come over and give me a hand with that later on. Shock sensor, well, that's just arrived, so I can go on to that. Passenger seat's an easy one. Fuel levels, just data, and again, that's maybe an Adam thing. But something else showed up too, so let's go have a look at what has shown up today. This bag should be a shock sensor from Haltech. So this should be the correct length for what we need. And length is critical with a lot of things. Mainly because if it's too short and the car compresses beyond what the shock length is, it will destroy this sensor. You know, so yeah, having the right length is great. And then we've got in here a pair of wheels, and you're going to say, Scotty, you've got wheels, and you're right, I do have wheels, but the wheels on the car, well, we've got street wheels on the front, on the back with street tyres. We've got our drag tyres over there. We've got our front runners there. Those front runners are expensive. They're like $400 a tyre, easy. And if I destroy one out on the road, I'm screwed. Like, so what I'm going to do for the street driving is put these 15s on it. So again, Street Pro wheels. Same pattern as what we've got, but these are 15 by 6s. Now, the offset is more to the inside, so we shouldn't grab a guard or anything if we hit a button, hit bumps or anything out on the road. Clearance-wise, don't know yet. We'll find out, but we'll get some tyres put on these tomorrow, get them on the car, and they will be our street driving front wheels. So that means I have no chance of chewing those up out on the road. So like I said, screw them up, I am done. These things out on the road, if you get a puncture or whatever, it's easy to get a 15 street tyre anywhere. But those front runners, they're expensive and not available everywhere. So anyway, that sounds like a job for tomorrow. Anyway, shock sensors here. I'm in a wiring kind of mood, so I'm going to get the car up, do the shock sensor, and you'll probably see that in the morning when I'm done. Right, so last night I got busy, got our shock travel sensor in, so mounted down here on our little mounting bolt, and then I've drilled a hole up here and mounted it through there, so it will move up and down with the shock, which is awesome. So we'll get some data from that. So we've done all the other stuff. So the only thing I haven't done is put the data in the Haltech for that. So we'll do that today. But yeah, I'm gonna have to move on to the other stuff. I've already taken the wheels down to get tyres mounted so we can have them ready to go. Got to get Adam to do the neutral safety switch. I'm just looking at the board right now. Got to do an oil change and then our fuel sensor stuff. So we are pretty much on track. So just a couple other things. Got to do the isolation switch. The car just got teched. The only thing we need to fix is it needs the isolation switch. So we've got a tech sticker on the roll cage now. So we've got a logbook for the car. My licensing is happening right now for IHRA because obviously I need a proper license, which involved medical checks and the whole thing, which was fun. So yeah, shit's been happening. A lot of shit has been happening. But now we need to really deal with the heating and find out what's going on there. And to be honest, we're running out of time for this episode. So you'll see us go to Drag Challenge next time, but you won't see it in this episode. So basically, yeah, next week you're going to be seeing a lot of Drag Challenge stuff, and the week later we'll come back and we'll show you how we went at Drag Challenge, and by then we'll know if we solved the heating issue or not. Heating and cooling. It's going to be fun, and you're going to see it all on future episodes of Carnage.